If you're looking at Rotiform TSW, Niche or Niche, Motegi, Asanti, or any other Wheel Pros brand right now, you're gonna wanna watch this video because there's important information that goes into effect June 15th, which is like a couple 2-3 days away, that may push you to make a choice on actually picking up a set or not, because prices in short are gonna go up like 15 to like 15%. Not a range. Most definitely 15, at least. Good news, bad news, and all news in between. We are the connoisseurs of information that affects your life ever so slightly. Like when there's that dot on your glasses and it's causing you to focus on that and it gives you a headache and it's just annoying enough for you to clean it off, only for it to actually streak, in which case you have to get a proper cleaning rag, which is much more difficult than you think because you're around, you got nothing in your pockets and no one has one, and then you have the Ray-Bans one that you got with the sunglasses back when you're 16 years old, but they're terrible, so you just end up using Windex, which streaks your glasses, and then you're left upset, okay? The last 2 years when it comes to supply chain with wheels, tires, and suspension, that like analogy, the dot on the glasses, that has been like everything that's happened. And every single time we try to fix it, every single time we try to clean up the old supply chain, make it easy to pick up wheels, tires, and suspension, it pretty much only sort of kind of gets worse, okay? The dot is just everything that's happened in the past 12 to 24 months. I'm Alex at Fine Instagram, and today we're gonna be talking about what's about to happen in the wheel industry and why, if you've been on the fence about picking up a set, that you're just gonna wanna do so right now. And it's not really good news, but this is gonna feel a little bit like an M. Night Shyamalan movie where you're just not sure what to do with the information if you haven't decided to purchase yet. And if you haven't heard from us, I got shorts on so you can really hear the Hi, we started this channel to talk about wheels, tires, and suspension for aftermarket cars and such. So if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, and suspension, be sure to hit us up over at fitmentindustries.com. And if you're not entirely sure on what to pick up yet, then at least go check out our gallery where you can see like a big old hunk and chunk of cars that have different sort of modifications done to them. And if you like something and you also have a vehicle that you own that's the same thing as something in the gallery, you can actually see what fits. So it makes it really easy to pick up. Plus they come mounted, balanced, and shipped to the lower 48 for free. Alaska and Hawaii, I'm sorry, but you're too far away. We've talked about the tire shortages of 2021 in a previous video where we called out some of our like specific favorites like the Federal 595 and the Nino Neogen facing supply chain issues and availability. Hence why people are treating them like blue party hats these days if you ever go out onto Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace right now. In fact, people are begging to find 595s. Our solution back then when we made that video was to take a look at the comparables out there. Yokohama Advan V601s were getting awesomely popular and getting in stock. Delente D7s were an awesome pick. Forcelli Strada 2s were great to add onto your wheels, and more entry-level tires. You did, we did, the world rejoiced, and we moved on. People were relatively pretty happy with what was happening, even though that tire was going away. Then we talked about suspension shortages, primarily coming from raw material bottlenecks and the fact that a large amount of components come from overseas from the same like few companies. This resulted in a long lunch line where just answering the math problem when asked didn't get you into the cafeteria, and ultimately you were kind of left with just waiting in line until maybe sort of sometimes an entry-level suspension company would get inventory in stock. So our recommendation for that was to look at mid-tier coilover companies that have a bit more availability due to a lesser demand and plan out like a 4 to 6 week time frame to get your coilovers versus the normal 2 to 3 weeks. That was a little bit unfortunate, but such is life, and the shipping days are just kind of growing a little bit right now, outside of a lot of people's controls. But it is what it is, okay? But wheels. Now we gotta talk about wheels, and it's kind of sort of getting ridiculous, okay? It's making me hot and
heavy, and there's 15 people listening to me right now, which makes me a little bit uncomfortable because there's not any cool music playing in the background, so it's just my voice.
P.S. Let me know what your next set of wheels are in the comment section below so we can see what y'all are oogling up. I'll be taking a look to see if maybe we need to get our hands on more for everyone, especially as 2021 is turning out to be slightly same amount of chaos as 2020. The wheel market is huge, and I mean like big boy thick. When 2020 came and hit us where the sun doesn't shine, plenty of wheel manufacturers were able to press on just because of the sheer size of their company. I mean, wheel companies are absolutely massive. I mean, when you really think about it, most wheel companies outside of our own like little brand new brand of Artista Artform wheels, check it out, you know, we got inventory, things are going well, have huge portfolios of varying degrees of offerings and markets. You'll see companies nowadays offer pretty much everything from one-piece, two-piece, three-piece, ATV wheels, UTV wheels, SUV and CUV wheels, truck wheels, Baja racing wheels, race car, forged monoblock, centerlock wheels, all with their unique name, all with their unique marketplaces. And you multiply that by the amount of brands that they carry to enter like the various price segments of those types of products. And a single company like Wheel Pros, for instance, can have over 20 brands with 3 or 4 market segments within them. It's absolutely nuts. That's how big the market actually is. And when you put all of that together into one portfolio, you do have a good amount of muscle when it comes to getting product. So as 2020 put on their boxing gloves, the wheel industry put their gloves on too. And for the most part, the battle was going pretty darn okay. The world started going back to some normalcy, and although shipping was a mess and logistics were getting pretty tough, people like you and people like me could muscle through it, and you maybe saw maybe a 2 to 3% increase on like the pricing of wheels to make up for all of the headache. And that's when we thought it was gonna end, except it didn't. More crap happened earlier this year. And this is where things get a little finicky. Shipping didn't really slow down. 2021 has become the year of shipping companies, like pretty much becoming Amazon, just unlimited growth and pretty much being able to do whatever the hell you want without much restrictions or issues. And I'm not kidding. As normal restrictions started to lift on what was needed to be shipped for like health and safety reasons, the fight for making money returned to the centerfold. And let me tell you, boys and girls, if there's a business to be in right now, it's ocean freight. Just type in ocean freight and you'll feel like an expert after reading 3 articles, because it is an absolute political nightmare right now. Ocean freight companies began surcharging containers, like the big old containers, from $1,000 to $2,000 to $4,000 a container. And over the last 90 days, not including the actual shipping costs of a container, sometimes you have to pay up to $5,000 just to secure your place in line to get a container onto a frickin' boat. And you can't even get like the shipping quoted anymore because the prices change hourly. I mean, last time that we heard from our own tire vendor, their container cost exceeded $20,000 for a chunk of tires to arrive in our hands. That just is a lot of money when it was $3,000 in January of 2020. For shipping, now we all joke about the fact that like the Fan-Zoo canal blockage, which took 6 days to pull out. In all honesty, I would have just strapped a Stage 3 B5S4 to one side and Ken Block's Unicorn to the other side to yank that bad boy out, but hey, we can't fix every problem. But that little issue actually did cause a little bit of strife in the overall global trade. I mean, after all, that canal carries 10% of our total global trade through it, including 70% of the world's oil. And while the goods primarily on those boats were for smaller goods, the proverbial hair is what ended up breaking the camel's back in terms of people using just-in-time inventory for the wheel companies. People had to reroute during that entire thing, which increased prices, increased deadlines, messed more things up, and ultimately caused everything to go haywire even more than it already has. And when a fucking boat gets stuck in a canal for 6 days, that causes yet another ripple in the market for people to buy wheels, because the things that were on containers either heading through that canal or by it now had to be redirected, which just further messed things up in 2021. Not the only issue, just one of the onslaught of issues. Now, in an effort to keep production and availability moving for enthusiasts though, this does mean that certain companies, like if you take for example Rotiform, who is part of the Wheel Pros brand, has to increase their prices just to stay alive. And by no means is the increase necessarily a small amount, but it has to happen, and it's gonna be 15%. Niche, same thing. Motegi, same thing. TSW, same thing. The pricing changes go into effect on June 15th of 2021, which if you're looking at any of these wheel brands or something similar, I would truly recommend picking them up before this date, because they are going to be 15% less now than they will be towards the end of June. And when 6/16 comes around, the World Wide Web will have new map restrictions on these wheels, which is your minimally advertised price. That's why you get the best price on wheels that have map, and that's why our prices are always the lowest. And this isn't just unique to the brands that I mentioned. I'm using them as ones that you probably know and love. Wheel Pros is just one of the giants in the wheel industry, which means as they change prices, many will be sure to follow, and some already have. Adahan, Work, Vorsteiner, Variant Wheels, and more are all going through these pricing changes or increases right now, or they've already gone through it. We don't have the time to tell you because they mostly just told us. Wheel Pros was nice enough to tell us, hey, this is what's going to happen. You may want to let some people know, and that's why we're letting you know. And that's a lot. As of just a week ago, Amazon, Walmart, and Costco continue to dominate purchasing nearly all the space available on these freight ships coming to the USA, leaving very little for other companies to jump on board with guaranteed commitments from the shipping companies to even get product into the States. That doesn't include the stuff that has to get in the States out of the States, because other countries are feeling the same way. Essentially, they take their money right now, they say, we'll call you, and then they just put you on a wait list, and you just pray that they call back. Like that time you gave somebody your number at a bar. I've been married for 9 years, so I don't know what that's like. Wheel companies are pretty resilient, but not resilient enough to withstand the pressure of freight companies charging whatever the hell that they want. Supply lines at factories increasing raw material pricing and reducing quality inspections in favor of speed. This is causing factories to make just not the best stuff anymore. And people don't want to do that. Companies like Rotiform don't want to do that, which is why they need to increase pricing and slow things down. And that's probably why you're watching this video. It shouldn't be too much of a surprise to hear about these things happening, but it's enough to mention to people that are looking for these types of wheels, and especially are looking in 2021, because pricing on most wheels are about to go up, especially with those that have a minimally advertised price like Rotiform or Motegi or TSW. This lift is going to be about 15% or $150 when it's all said and done, and I am sorry. But if you've been on the fence and want to beat the price increase, we would recommend picking up a set before June 15th. That's about as simple as it gets. One of the last things that we'll say on the matter is that we'll continue to try to help and curb the impacts of these things as they come up. Because at the end of the day, we get the information and we hope that you enjoy the information as well. We're trying to kind of push the impact down a little bit by focusing on wheel and tire packages, because that helps us essentially give you a better deal when they come together and they come mounted, balanced, and shipped to your door to the lower 48 states. Allows us to give everybody a cool price discount. And because of how it works, it makes it easier for you to install so your Shopco tech doesn't judge you for wanting a stretch setup on a 9.5-inch wheel. But if none of that matters, at least you learned that if at all else, if you're looking for some sort of career to jump into, I would highly recommend the shipping business right now. But what do you think? Do you think this is ever going to go away, or is this a temporary thing? Let us know below, and of course, if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to check us out over at fitmentindustries.com. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We hope you enjoyed this. Sorry for sometimes the good news, bad news, or indifferent news, but we will see you later. Peace.